What do you think's out there?
Your father.
There's a war brewing in this territory. Brigham Young trying to make his kingdom. President tries to stomp it out. These natives here don't murder you. You got the Wasatch Mountain Range. Grizzlies, wolves, riled up Mormons.
We are the chosen!
This doesn't seem to be a world that favors a woman on her own.
Civilization and civilized, two different words entirely.
Heading west is a mistake.
I have no choice. Where are you taking us?
You don't listen.
Oh, I listen. I just don't trust you.
We set out at first light. One step closer to the life I promised you.
Someday, this entire American continent will be ours. Why do your people have so much hunger to kill?
Fear.
Everything I've done, it's been to him.
Whatever you're trying to protect you both, ain't no sin in that.
So let me just say, man, first, thank you. Second of all, it was so fun to watch you cooking in your first major role. My God, you were simply terrific, man. It was just, I wrapped it up like a couple days back. Boy, was that a performance for your first major performance. I mean, that's got to be a memory for a lifetime, man. Forget everything else, right?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's like, I've always tried to represent my people and family in a strong, good way. But with film, I've come to make the conclusion that it's art, and art is forever. So, like, most of the time, anytime I'm on there, I'm realizing like the level we're at now is this is forever, man. So, like, I'm really like just locked in tunnel vision.
Yeah, you know, I got to say, when I first started, I'm like, oh no, this is really gory. This is really graphic, really quick. I'm so glad I hung in there, because by the last episode, I'm in tears. Like, it's just like, it hit me that hard. Like, and what a beautiful way of storytelling. You and a bunch of others, my God, Darek, it was just such an enjoyable time spent. Well, there's so many series that I start and I don't finish because I just can't get into the story. This one, I couldn't stop it. I was like, Jesus Christ, I got to get some sleep sometime,
Yeah,
that's exactly what this one was.
Yeah, I get that from a lot of people. They're like, once I warn them, hey, if you got to work tomorrow, try to start it early in the day, because once you start, it's hard to not finish.
Yeah. Darek, tell me what you think of this. So as I'm watching this, I think about the idea of what home is, right? Especially in the 1850s, right? I'm thinking about what home meant, right? The Mormons, they bought it and wanted to take it. Native Americans had always had it stolen from them. You have the settlers, they wanted a new life, but they were always scammed or killed. The sacrifice of getting home is just such a powerful thing, especially the way Peter told this story.
Yeah, it's really, really ironic or unique or beautiful for me. I grew up on my reservation, and my reservation's the Fort McDermott Reservation outside of McDermott, the town. The town is roughly about 10 miles out, and we have our tribal facilities, and that's it. So if you want to get a job or you want any other resources other than the tribal facilities, which are of course limited to the people, you have to go 10 miles. And I remember as a kid, I would ride my horse to Highway 95, and I would look and I would think that one of these days I'm going to get off this route. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to find a way out of here. And as an adult now, I find myself trying to find my way home, trying to find my way back. Kind of broke my heart. I have children, and I go visit my people all the time, and one day we were coming back to Las Vegas, and my little boy, he's seen the bright lights in the city, and he was like all happy, and he said, "Dad, there's home," And for me, still to this day, I will be driving home, and I see my reservation, and I see the big red mountain, and we're at the base of the red mountain, and I know I'm coming home. So it's one of those things where, like, I tell everybody that when I left the reservation, they say, oh, the reservation ain't going nowhere. It's always going to be here. And I say, well, as an adult now, you guys didn't tell me that some of my people are going to travel on to the next life, and it's not going to be the same. So knowing that home is the mountains, home is the water, home is the people, but that does change.
Yeah, that's a really great answer, Darek. This is a weird role for you because it's more than a role for you. Like, acting is a profession, but the role you played is the life you live. Like, it's your ancestors. It's what you just said. It's so much more than just a role, right? Because when people step out of a role, I feel like you're not really stepping out of this. This is not only a role; it's a responsibility. It's a life. It's what you are made of. Man, that's what makes it so much more powerful for somebody watching, and especially for you, who is doing a great job, introducing us to this wonderful character.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think in my community, there's a lot of focus on the trauma and what happened, but we've always found a way. It's like the Indian way is to find hope in the hopelessness, But for me, I was always taught, and I growing up, I come from a family of warriors and fighters, and it's a genetic memory, so it's something that it's natural for me.
Yep.
But also, at the end of the day, when you have a society or a community or people like that, it's learning that, okay, well, somewhere down the line, somebody gave you this negative gift, this thing, and it's gonna, for a child or a kid, you're just gonna be filled with so much anger and hate and whatnot. But I was told as a kid that I want you to imagine that you have an invisible glass bottle inside of your heart. And when somebody gives you something negative like that, you take that energy and you put it in this bottle. And now you use that energy and you convert it into something good, something positive. And there's in our tradition they say like a puha medicine. There's power in that. So when somebody gives you that, you convert that negative energy and that power and you turn it into something positive. That's kind of what I've been doing with my craft and skill set in acting.
Yeah, it's another great answer. Just before we get into your character, I have to say, man, there's so many great characters, but I think I need therapy alone for two different scenes. You tell me what you think of these. They don't know. One of them is the French cannibals. I think I definitely need therapy for that. And the other one was Dane, who did a great job as Jacob Pratt. Phenomenal job. Dude, he must have been bleeding for the entire... His blood is running down his face for all 6 episodes. And he nailed it. And I guess there's tons of actors that nailed it, but like this show, out of telling this wonderful story, certainly has scenes that stick with you long after that last episode airs.
Yeah, seeing him on set, crossing paths here and there, like I don't think I ever seen Dane not wounded, man. He was
always coming down.
Yeah, always, and he's one of the best at what he does, It's just
for
like,
sure.
He's so locked in. It's like it's crazy when I ride by him on the scene where I kick him down. I asked him at the premiere. I'm like, you weren't worried that I'm walking, kicking. I'm like, you're right here, and you weren't worried that my horse might step on you. It could spook easily and step on him. He's like, no, man, I was just I was in it, and I'm like, I totally understand. I totally get it.
Wow, Darek, is all the horse stuff you, or do you have a stunt double for that?
No, I big love to Brand X Stunts, JJ Papa Dash. I went to cowboy camp, and naturally, me, I'm a retired fighter and an athlete, so This is kind of what I look like. If I'm back on the reservation, I'm in the high desert. They don't wear a cowboy hat, long sleeve or whatnot, and boots.
Yeah.
But this is what I show up, and I look like I'm going to go play basketball. So I show up to cowboy camp, and they asked if I can ride. Sled Reynolds, the owner of the horse, he's like, hey, can you ride? And I'm like, yeah, I can ride a little bit. So they put me on a horse. I go around and come back. He's like, well, try this horse now. Switch the horse, ride around, and they're like, oh, you can ride. And one of his wranglers like, yeah, I saw him cinch his own horse up. And eventually got to the point where like I rode around a few times in the stables, and then Sled came over and he's like, hey, we're really secure with you, just doing your own thing. You don't need a wrangler with you. And I'm like, that's phenomenal, man. So I got to do my own stuff. Then JJ and Papa Dash, about a month into that, they called me and asked her like, hey, how do you feel about doing your own stunts and your own riding? And I said, I think I'd be offended if somebody else was riding my horse. They let me do it all, and that's I think important for Red Feather. It's important that he is this fearless warrior. He's not like, I need somebody to ride my horse. I can ride my own horse.
And Red Feather is one of the very few. I mean, not to say Red Feather's innocent of anything in this time, because none of us are. Okay, so but I love your character and the way he has a good heart. He's probably seen way too much evil for what mankind has done to each other than one person should see. But I want to ask you this before we get into your character a bit. Why spare Abish? Why spare her? Why is she spared?
Respect. She had courage when there was just so much screaming and death. She just witnessed many people get slaughtered in front of her, and here's this other guy just, ending life, and she's willing to meet that, and I was... Sarah in real life is just such a great human being in person. Like, it's hard, like I said, not to be tapped in, dialed into it, and see her as Abish, but at the end of the day, I still see her as Sarah. So, and it was all coming down. Pete said, whistle when she gets to Abish. And with all the war and the death and all the noise was going on, all my spirit wanted was peace. So instead of whistling real loud, it was a peaceful, like, soft whistle.
Right.
And that, I needed that for myself. I was just so locked in. But yeah, definitely it was with Sarah Abish. It was big love, big respect. Like, wow, with all this going on, she's defiant. And that's, in our culture, you see the woman in a sacred way, and that starts with respect. So once I seen that respect, it was like, wow, that's, there's something here.
It's kind of a beautiful relationship too. It's not like usually we see a man and a woman on screen. It always takes a turn for this or for the common things. But this is just a beautiful relationship with two wonderful human beings just trying to live and get those around them safe. And, with her situation, it's a little bit different because she's kind of alone. But it's just a nice relationship to see unfold over 6 episodes. And it's just kind of a beautiful in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think you always automatically assume that, it's going to be a physical attraction. But, I think at the end of the day, real love comes from that respect. And, like, there's the honesty there, a purity of intent, and I think that was a choice that we both kind of agreed on,
What did you want people to see in Red Feather? Right, I get the obvious, right? Nobody's going to deny that this guy is a badass, that he's seen his fair share of combat, whatever. But what did you want to bring to this? Because I have to imagine Peter and others had to seek your input on this character. What was it important at the end of the day, Darek, that Red Feather had that you wanted to portray?
I think typically in Hollywood's history with natives, we're seen as savage heathens and bloodthirsty monsters. When I first initially started doing acting, my little 10-year-old son, he came up to me and he found out I was leaving again to go do a film. And he asked me, he said, "Dad, can you not be the mean Indian?" And that naturally, as a father, that like he views our people as mean Indians because he's only 10, so most of what he sees is on camera. So a lot of this stuff is unspoken truths that I've never had with Peter, but it's almost like he knew who I am. He knew my battles and struggles as a Native American man. So for me, it was important that Red Feather be seen as a human being. Simple as that. He's human. When he was, it didn't make, in the original script, there's a scene with Abish and my mom, and they're talking about me. and they're watching me. And my mother tells Abish that when I was a little boy, my name was Wide Smile because I was always happy. What has happened now in his with life and war and whatnot, I'm now Red Feather.
Yeah, that's a really powerful moment. How do you think over the course of your lifetime? I'm probably older than you, so I can't answer this. But how do you think the representation of Native Americans has evolved in cinema or TV? Do you think it's getting better? Like you mentioned earlier, the bad guy or the angry, whatever stereotype enter here. How do you think that do you think it's getting better? Are we in a better place than we were? Because I remember, Darek, again, I'm older than you, so I remember Burt Lancaster playing a Native American. I remember Audrey Hepburn playing a Native American. I remember, even John, he's not Native American, but John Wayne played Genghis Khan, or Johnny Depp recently played, he was in The Lone Ranger. Do you think it's getting better, the representation and how we view other cultures, and in your case, Native American culture?
It's really unique. I really woke up in a dream doing American Primeval, showing up to a set, and Pete's open to listening. I walk into hair and makeup. They're not telling me what to do. They're asking for my input. They're adjusting. They're bringing in real people. They're bringing in real Indians. So for me, it was really, I woke up on a dream. But don't get me wrong, when I first started doing this, I showed up to a production and they gave me a tattered burlap sack to wear as a bandana. And I looked at them and I said, I'm not wearing that. And it was like, as Indian people, we believe time isn't linear, it's circular.
Right.
When I was a little boy, my grandmother, June, I was sitting with her, and one day she told me, she said, brother, one of these days they're going to try to tell us that we were dirty people, that we didn't take care of ourselves. And she said, you don't let that happen. And it was like that moment in time came back to this very moment that I'm in now, where they're trying to make me, I was in that moment as a child again. And I told production on that, I'm not wearing that. And I said, our people took care of ourselves. We were very clean. I still do to this day. We're taught, you wake up, you wash your face, you pray, you take care of yourself, your mind, your body, and your spirit. So we pray first thing in the morning, and we wash our face, and we take care of ourselves. Well, that production, eventually, they came in and they fixed it. And I, knowing ahead of time, I brought my own period piece bandana. So I wore that for that production. But yeah, man, with American Primeval, it was a dream. Netflix was great. Everybody was phenomenal. Pete, is the captain of that ship. It was with the utmost love and respect. It goes downhill. Like, there just wasn't a bad day for me on set doing anything with American Primeval. It was just a dream.
Yeah, just hearing you talk, it reminds me. I don't know if you've ever seen Wind River, the movie.
Yeah.
They talk about the importance of, you talk about the importance of Native Americans and being, seen, and the idea that so many Native American women have gone missing, and we kind of disregard it. It's kind of like been disregarded. Like, just hearing you talk has brought that back to me. So yeah, man, your words are excellent to hear. I'm all ears on that. So thank you for that. Yeah. So, let me ask you this. So 2 more things, and thank you for all this time. I really appreciate that. So I've had 2 guests that were had a part of this production, not, specifically for this, but one of the guys that should get much more credit than he has been, maybe he hasn't, I don't know, but Jacques Jouffre, the cinematographer, this thing is stunning to look at. Like, let's forget the actors for a second. Dude, this is beautiful as hell to watch, right?
Yeah, man's an artist, man. I remember one day we waited for 30 minutes for the sun to move in the right direction. It was just he has an eye. He's an artist, but again, like, it's coming downhill. Like the guys with him, Brett and Coy, they were his camera operators too. So it's like it's really a beautiful thing when you really pay attention to what's going on. Everybody sees the actor, but at the end of the day, it's like it's a team concept, man. There's just so many people that go on to play, like Brad or Coy, like just communication, like, hey, stand here, this is what's going to be, this is going to work. The teepee scene, Jocks, he's like, hey, stand here, the sun's coming through the teepee, and I'm like, I'm a student, that stuff I want to know and learn, and I'm super, super grateful that those guys are, they were there.
Yeah, and the other guy I had on like a year ago was Joe Tippett, who plays Joe Wolsey.
Oh,
I'm not going to lie to you, Darek. I enjoyed immensely when Red Feather put that axe in his skull. I'm not going to lie to you. I took a lot of enjoyment out of that. But I don't. He's maybe the most. He's a very likable person, but maybe the most unlikable character in this entire miniseries.
yeah, it's so. I don't know. Maybe I just read into things a little too much. So in all of Santa Fe, I'm showing up to production. I'm a pretty big guy, but at the time I'm 200 plus pounds, so I'm even bigger.
Right.
And I'm trying to maintain and trying to stay, because I'm doing all my stunts, trying to stay, active. The two guys I see in the gym all the time was Joe and Taylor. Of course I see them working; they're constantly working. But I end up talking with Joe a lot, and really good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And just to come, I didn't know that that part of the script was changed. So meeting him, and then I got a squabble with this guy, man. And I was like, it's really, it's ironic that of all the people I got to put a hatchet in is him. He's just a super great human being for sure, and a really, really, really talented actor. Like again, I'm a rookie, so he's actually one of the guys I really study. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, his character is an expert gaslighter.
Yeah.
So I've had Tantu Cardinal. She's not in this, but she's a phenomenal Native American actor who's just been wonderful. We look at actors like Graham Greene and others. How important is it for you to leave a legacy for Native Americans who want to get into acting, who see their role models on screen? Right? Is that something that you hold dear to yourself, or is it like you just want people to see whatever they see? Is that aspect, is that a conscious thing for you, Darek?
Yeah, no, absolutely. For me, I've always been taught when you represent us in a strong, good way, imagine you're sitting at a table.
Yeah.
And I've earned my spot here. And by earning my spot and doing a good job, hopefully I've created more chairs around this table for us. Being on set too, working with Jeremiah Bitsui, he's a phenomenal actor. He was the scout with the Army. He's just a great human being too. And then you got the young lady Nanabal Grace. She showed up. She did her job. She was outstanding. It's just trying to do the best that we possibly can. And I'm just staying locked in, and it's hard to actually. You shoot something for 9 months. It's like making the next generation understand you got to be locked in for 9 months. There is no days off. Like I can't show up and have an excuse or I've got to be Red Feather for 9 months, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Darek, I'll end with this. I have to say, it's so hard to believe that this is your first major role. Like you, dude, look, you've been doing this for 40 years. Like it's just stunning to watch. And so when you consider that, when you consider all these things, is there a scene or a specific part of this performance that you're most proud of? I get it, you're proud of the whole thing, as you should be. But is there a specific part of it that you're like, that's the one I walk away with knowing I nailed that?
Yeah, there's so much. It depends on my emotion, but I think with Red Feather being, empathetic and showing he's a father, that one was powerful. But I think for me was just going off on my rant on being a slayer of demons, and showing that he is a human being, and you push him enough, he's gonna go off. And, culturally too, through our tribal communities, we've had these tribal communities, but we've also had a warrior society where the warrior society, like Red Feather and his band, they kept the tribe honest. They were almost like like law enforcement amongst the tribe. So I think that being said, super respect too, not in a disrespectful way. That was my mom. I think those scenes with Irene were powerful because I still had a certain love and respect for her, even though I was disagreeing.
Yeah, I have to say, as a dad, it tore my heart out at the end, and I was like bawling when you had your son, so he wouldn't get hurt, like kind of protected. Dude, that did it for me. That set off the waterworks. I couldn't, like, When hearing you talk about your favorite scenes as a dad, I related to that part of it, and I was really just like, wow, this guy's next level.
Yeah, that's just at the end of the day, we're humans, and it's like, oh, you got a big bad scary Indian. Well, he's a father, that's powerful, man. He's a human being.
Yeah, and you're so talented and a wonderful human being. And Darek, thank you so much for this time, and please come back anytime you'd like. I really appreciate this.
Hey, I want to say you've been my favorite interview, man. I appreciate your time.
Oh, I thank you for that, Darek. I appreciate that. Thank you. And I look forward to more of your projects. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Roger that, man.
Thank you. Enjoy your day, okay?
You too, brother.